Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. Today's one of these special days because we are at the Joe Morgan Celebrity Memorial Golf Tournament. And we do this once a year. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's one of, and we're mostly here for the food.
Yeah, that's right. And the golf, because at least one of us golfs.
Right.
Yeah. And also we're gonna try to get some sports celebrities here, like we usually do, interviewed. We do our little 2-minute intro here.
We apologize for both the shade and maybe for the windy conditions. It's we're all getting over Hurricane Hillary out here in California, and so the weather is just weird.
Yeah, but we don't have too much excuses. We're in Northern California, and most of that
it's still weird weather. It feels like you're in Florida or something like that.
Oh, that's true. It does.
With the humidity and all that, and the wind. So I'm going to apologize for that.
That's all right. We'll have some fun interviews with some of the sports stars. Today's trivia theme is NFL linebackers.
Oh, okay.
I think we got some football players here. I haven't seen too many of them. We're still a little bit early. But this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money.
Easy for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I usually say that without a problem.
That's the one that you should be getting straight up.
Straight off.
Else you can bobble.
Yeah. Oh, I had something stuck in my throat.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Okay, providing mortgage investments currently that are yielding over 7.5%, secured by real estate. When we come back too, if we don't get too many sports stars to just pop on in.
Well,
yeah, I wanted to find out what your feelings are on NASCAR facing a boycott after suspending a rookie phenom. I don't know if you heard about that story.
No,
we'll talk about that. And James Harden and the 76ers, he doesn't want to play for someone he believes is a liar. It's not good to call your employer a liar.
Now there's talk that Embiid wants.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
okay.
This morning.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown. Russell had to take a quick break, so I've got my favorite pastor here, Pastor David Craig. The reason Dave is here helping us out at the golf tournament, unfortunately, Vida Blue died earlier this year, and Joe Morgan had died a year or two ago. So they decided they wanted to have a pastor come to do a blessing, and someone who also liked golf. And I said, well, I happen to know someone just like that. So, David, welcome to Sports Econ 101.
Thanks, Edward.
Now, interesting. I know your story, but the audience doesn't. You're not just quote just a pastor, but you also had some sports-related type situations early in your life. Go ahead and tell us your story.
Yeah, I was grew up in Southern California, so big Dodger fan. And
we won't hold that again.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's hard living in the Bay Area with that background. But, just love sports and playing sports. Kept me out of a lot of trouble, I think, growing up. Wanted to be a pro baseball player, and Orange County, where I grew up, is one of the best counties in the country for prospects. And I happened to be a prospect my freshman and sophomore year, led Orange County in batting average. And so I had scouts looking at me my freshman and sophomore year from the Pac-10.
Yeah.
And but was in a car accident my junior year. The first day of practice, my junior year, car accident put me out of baseball season, and really lost my passion for baseball in the sense of wanting to be a pro baseball player. But I've always been a follower of baseball and loved the sport itself and coached.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and weren't you a pitcher?
Yeah, I pitched and I was a shortstop.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you were being prospected for your hitting primarily?
Hitting, fielding, sort of all the way around. I mean, just I think I was the full package, and because I pitched and played shortstop, that added versatility.
You were Shohei Ohtani before Shohei Ohtani.
Not quite, but yeah. So anyway, so I've just always enjoyed sports, and now golf is my thing. Once a week with my son. And so that's the thing I love about sports, is it teaches you about life. It's a great way to build relationships with people, learn teamwork, and so I'm looking forward to playing.
Well, what I really liked was the fact that you said that it kind of quote kept you out of trouble, and I think that's a major thing with kids, where where they say idle hands are the devil's workshop, right? And so with kids getting in sports and being team players, and all for one for all for one. It seems like it really keeps kids, for the most part, on the
Yeah.
straight and narrow.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, you look at this tournament, I mean, with guys that have started this, and Joe Morgan and Vita Blue and the different people are involved in it. And I'm also a cancer survivor. And so when you have a platform to be able to be a leader in your community and make some good money and some good connections to be able to help others, the Bible calls that common grace, that there's a way that there's a lot of people that can do good, and sports is a good medium for that.
You mentioned the Bible, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're actually my I like to call you my pastor,
Yeah.
over at Marin Bible Church. And for the audience who doesn't know, David is a pastor who has a passion for God, and no messing around.
Right.
Right. In fact, the last few sermons,
Yeah.
I've slept less in your. No, I'm just kidding.
Seem to get more hardcore every week.
Yeah. What was the reason for that? I mean, with the way the world's going nowadays.
I think so. I just think, I think for people that hold the Judeo-Christian values, especially, that there's a high premium on objective truth.
Yeah.
And I think we see a lot of just chaos and messes going around. And as a pastor, I got to clean up a lot of those messes.
Yeah.
And so I just think that I see all the good that Judeo-Christian values have done over the years throughout the world, starting hospitals and schools,
Yeah.
and all kinds of things. So even if you don't believe everything we believe as Christians,
Yeah.
you still have, I think, things that are beneficial. And again, that's what we're looking at today, common grace. The type of cancer I had, now you can take a pill for it.
Wow.
When I had it, it was called squamous cell carcinoma on the back of my tongue. When I had it, it was a year process, and I had to have a feeding tube and radiation, and I lost 70 pounds. 10 years before I had it, you had to have a tracheotomy.
Oh my gosh.
So it's come a long way, and a lot of that is research. This tournament is going to have the cancer research.
Yeah.
And so that's a common grace, where people of all beliefs and backgrounds can come together and get good to help others live. And even in some cases,
well, yeah, and especially when they ask you to do the blessing today, that'll be interesting to have you mentioned about cancer survivor. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and what's also interesting is that we've talked about this before, how both of us were kind of similar with regard to when the pandemic happened. There's something that took away the passion.
Yeah.
In sports.
Yeah.
Partly is the bubble type situation, no fans and all that, but then it just got a little bit too political.
Yeah. I still love sports, and now I have 5 kids and 9 grandkids, and I coached all my kids, and my grandkids, especially the boys, are really into baseball. And so just the purity of that sport and learning how to play as a team and learning your role and everything. I think there's still a lot of good in sports, but I think unfortunately, for me, I think it's become very political in a lot of cases, and I just wish we could maintain the purity of
people. Stay in your lane.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I guess one thing to state your opinion outside of that, but I think when you're there, give it all you got, and go for the loyalty to the team, the sport.
I think a lot of it, I think too, is the fact that these guys are making so much money now compared to the old days. And like someone, let's say like Ted Williams, right? He had to have a second job. Yeah. And I don't think he would have dared. Yeah. To rock the boat, and and listen, I'm all for free speech too. Yeah. But there is a time.
Even in the '70s. Even after Ted Williams, in the '70s, I remember seeing Ozzie Smith working at a supermarket in the off season just to supplement his income. And this guy's, I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he is. Yeah.
But one of the greatest shortstops of all time. Yeah. And yet, even in the '70s, I guess it's longer than. Longer than
was it like 2 years ago?
Yesterday, Northern Feeling was a hit. But, anyway, yeah.
And that's Boston for all of you non '70s guys. I wonder. It's funny because we've asked some of these guys from before because this golf tournament, for the most part, has retired players. Last year we had Matt Payne and all that. Now he's still young, but some of the guys we've had interviewed, like say like Vita Blue, right?
Yeah.
You talk to these guys, you go, how do you feel about the fact that these guys are making nowadays so much money?
Right.
I mean, literally, they could play 1 or 2 years and they could retire.
Yeah.
Whereas, most other people have to.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
how are you guys doing? Look at Ozzie Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, can you? I still think about the Wizard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
see him in a grocery store. I bet he could bag stuff really quickly. Not a problem. Okay, are you ready for our first trivia question?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we go. This is and if you know the answer, don't say anything until we get back from break.
All right.
Okay. Talking NFL linebackers is our theme. All right. Chuck Bednarik was a two-way player for the Philadelphia Eagles. He played center on offense and linebacker on defense, where he was known to hit hard. So hard, in fact, that Bednarik once knocked a player out of football for 18 months.
Wow.
Which future Hall of Fame New York Giant halfback did Chuck Bednarik knock for a loop? That is our trivia question. All right. So it's it's actually a very famous play. And it's funny because the Hall of Fame Giant is much more famous than Chuck Bednarik.
Okay.
No offense to Chuck Bednarik, but we kind of talk about this. And when you see that hit, you can see why he was knocked out for quite a long time. All right, that's our trivia question. Email edward@sportsecon101.com the answer. And don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101 will be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown. Russell is still doing something with his computer, but we've invited Tyson Ross here. Tyson, welcome to Sports Econ 101.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, so first we're going to answer our trivia question here. So we're talking NFL linebackers. Chuck Bednarik was a two-way player for the Philadelphia Eagles. He played center and on offense and linebacker on defense, where he was known to hit hard. So hard, in fact, that Bednarik once knocked a player out of football for 18 months. Which future Hall of Fame New York Giant halfback did Chuck Bednarik knock for a loop? Any idea?
I've got no clue.
That's
and
okay.
I'm happy I didn't play football.
Okay. Frank Gifford.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now, Tyson, I was kind of looking you up there. So baseball pitcher for the A's and the Rangers. Any other teams?
Padres, Tigers, and Cardinals.
Wow. Okay. Again, moved around a lot. Okay. So tell us about yourself, some fun stories, but I'm also curious about the fact that moving from team to team to team, how that, how does that mentally work with you to find out you're getting traded?
Yeah. Local kid, grew up in Oakland, went to Cal, played there for 3 years, was drafted by the hometown team, the A's,
Oh,
which
that's awesome.
was great.
Yeah.
Made it to the big leagues super young. I was like 22, turning 23. Only played like 1 full year in the minors, and had a lot to learn at the major league level. So the first transition from A's to Padres was because I had a lot of failure in the big leagues. Instead of working out in the minor leagues, I was a kid in the big leagues trying to play against the best competition in the world. So I got traded to San Diego, had a fresh start down there, had some good season, all-star 1 year, and then had some injuries, and that led to me bouncing from team to team after that. But yeah, I mean, you just learn to live in a suitcase and kind of brush things off and find ways to get settled in a new environment.
I guess try not to take it too personally too, I guess.
Yeah, baseball's a business.
Good for you, rather than what happened? I thought I was doing, especially when you said you're an all-star.
Yeah.
What year is that?
All-star in 2014.
Okay. With the Padres. Was that when Will Venable was playing with him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well.
Yeah, I've known. In fact, Max and Will have been friends.
Mm-hmm.
I've been friends with
Great
Max for
family.
many years.
Yeah.
Got a funny story about that I'll tell you later. Okay, so you moved up, and the thing is with baseball, it's like, you got single A, double A, triple A, versus like football coming out of college, boom, you're either on the team or not.
Yeah.
So you said you only had to play 1 year in the minors?
Yeah, like a year and a half. So I was drafted in 2008, played a couple months that summer, and then 2009 I started in high A Stockton, and then moved up partway through the year to double A, Midland, Texas, and following spring training, made the club out of spring. So
You must have had some
out of nowhere.
I mean, you must have had some really good stats for them to see.
Yeah, I was streaky. I was streaky throughout times, and I had a really good second half of the season in 2009 with Double A, and then came into spring training, and I don't think I gave it a run with the big league club in spring. So it was kind of like force their hand. There's no reason for them to sign me to AAA, and they had some
Yeah.
injuries and opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're a big guy, so was the fastball your typical?
Fastball slider, yeah. I
Okay.
had a lot of movement on that. Led to some control issues at times, but when it was over the plate, hitters didn't like it.
Well, David,
Yeah.
we were talking earlier. David was a prospect when he was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. And then unfortunately, he had a car accident. What kind of injuries did you have? Rotator cuff type thing?
No, I mean, I had this nerve damage thing, thoracic outlet syndrome, which kind of ended my career.
Wow.
Yeah, some other soft tissue stuff, but nothing. I was the only
Yeah,
one.
because you're a young guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I can trick
but-
you. I'm 36 now. But
yeah. I mean, shoot. I guess.
old for baseball, young for life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go ahead. You want to ask any questions?
I'm just curious, what are like one or two highlights from your career? You look back on and go, man, that was great.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is my brother's also a pitcher, and I got a chance to. It just lined up perfectly. I got to go to his major league debut. So I pitched in Cincinnati on probably like a Friday night. Buddy Black was the manager of the
Padres.
he was a Padres then, but now he's with Colorado.
Yeah.
But he called me in the office before the start and said, "Hey, I know you got a big day tomorrow with your brother. I want you to know like we're gonna fly you out there to go see him. Just handle your business tonight." So I think I got the win in Cincy that night. Woke up on zero sleep and went to the airport and flew into Washington for a day game and got to watch my brother pitch major league debut. That's probably like the coolest highlight.
That's really sweet that it's not that the highlight is really about your brother.
Yeah.
What's the age difference?
I'm 6 years older, so he's 30. He's
That's
with
sweet.
the Giants and coming back from Tommy John surgery right now. So hopefully September he'll get a couple innings in and be healthy for next year.
Guys come back to that pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, it
good
takes a while. That's the only problem. It's time.
Yeah, we were talking to David earlier that he's a cancer survivor.
Yep.
In the old days, tracheotomy,
Mhm.
and then other things. And now they just take a pill for it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they'll take a pill for Tommy John surgery.
That would be marvel of modern medicine for sure.
Yeah. So what are you doing nowadays?
I work for the Dodgers as a special assistant player development, and then I also run a charity out here in the Bay Area that is focused on providing baseball to underserved kids from different communities. So we go around from Oakland to Fairfield, all the way down to Menlo Park, and put free camps on, donate equipment, and really just help kids get into baseball. And a lot of fun.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because that reminded me of the story with Max. So I knew who Max was back in the 70s, for him playing for the Giants, right? And he was a good, utility player and all that. And so without knowing who he was, we were both going to the YMCA playing basketball, and I just knew him as Max. He just knew me as Edward, right?
Just a guy,
Yeah, just a guy. And then so I get my son into baseball camp, and I was, there's a guy named Max Venable. Great. Okay, I know the name, blah, blah, blah. I introduced my son without looking at him.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, Christian, this is Max Venable, but he's a good utility player.
Yeah.
I start walking away, and I look back and I go, Max? He goes, Edward, I was waiting for you to recognize
That's
me.
so funny.
He said he had his Giants uniform there. Yeah. Which was your favorite team to play for?
I really enjoyed playing for the Padres. Living in San Diego was great, and I had a lot of good memories, friends, and family down that way. So, yeah.
Did you play on any teams that I'm trying to think of, like, for the years that you played? Did you make playoffs and get
I was
further?
on the 2012 A's team where we won the division the last day of the season against the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Into the postseason. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And mentally, how does that like okay, hey, this is now the postseason.
Yeah, I mean it's a big deal. Unfortunately, we ran into the Tigers, who were a great club, and Justin Verlander did what Justin Verlander does, and that kind of ended our hopes there.
So now working with the Dodgers now, which that was his old team for the years. Big team. You said player development. And what did you define that for us? What does that actually?
I just worked with all the minor leaguers, top to bottom in the organization. Go out there, see them at the affiliates during the season, go to instructional league here in the fall, and just see how players are developing. Touch on my experience as a player and try and help them out along their journey.
This is Sports Econ 101, so I'm thinking of like the economic side of it. Do you talk to them about money from the standpoint of, hey guys, save some of your money, don't spend it all?
I don't. I mean, I can. I'm literally in year one, so I don't want to come in and overstep any boundaries. But I do have to run. I got
Oh,
my
oh.
partners coming in. And we gotta
Gotcha.
put some
Okay.
balls
Hey,
for-
Tyson, thank you
Nice
so
to meet
much.
you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Okay. We really appreciate it.
Hey.
Okay. We got about 2 more minutes. So David, why don't you stay with us?
All right.
Yeah. I was wondering about that, to be able to tell people about how, like again, he played fairly recently, so he made good money.
Right.
But a lot of these guys, they come in, they don't know how much money they're going to be making.
Right.
You know? And
Is
so,
that contest?
well, no, we're here. We're hey, Russell, join us. We got 2 minutes before our break here.
Oh, okay.
We're just talking to Tyson Ross. So, we were just interviewing Tyson, and he played for a bunch of different teams, and we were talking about the. Yeah, it's a little hard to talk over those. Hey, shut up over there!
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to do the radio show. We're talking about how you're playing for different teams, and he looked at it like a business. Like he gets traded, okay, just go on to the next one. So
Right.
he does player development for the Dodgers now. So we're wondering about I didn't get a chance to really get into depth with him about you made a lot of money playing, and now he's on to doing some other stuff. But it's like, how did who helped him? I didn't get a chance to ask him. Like who helped him with being able to figure out what.
Yeah, a lot of players, heard stories about him, being broke, like Trell Sprewell and so forth,
Oh yeah.
that, can't spend money at all in any kind of way. Evander Holyfield, I think,
Oh yeah.
lost lots of
Well,
money.
and then you get like Adrian Peterson, who has like 11 kids with 10 different
Yeah, but
women.
that's not
I mean-
not a good way to keep your money.
It's a good way to keep other people happy.
Yeah, to spread the wealth around. Yeah, it was something. I think like at one time, I think he was ordered to pay something like $45,000 a month in child support.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah.
And child support's not deductible. The
No.
alimony is.
Oh, is
no,
it?
yeah.
Okay. Well.
So I remember Latrice, the Charles Sprewell. He wanted they wanted to offer him 80 million, and he said,
Yeah.
"He goes,
I
man,
gotta
I got to feed my family.
Yeah.
I got to feed everyone else's family
He
too."
went and choked PJ Carlissimo.
Yeah. And then he went on to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that was after he'd already choked PJ already.
Yeah. No, yeah. He went to play for the Knicks after
Yeah.
that, because that's why they got rid of him. Okay, ready for our next trivia question here? So, what heritage did Junior Seau embrace? That's our trivia question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. We're gonna have to go play golf here pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna let you take over the next couple of segments, the next segment if you
Wow,
want.
that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but if we got 13 minutes and 45 seconds for the
13
next one.
minutes.
So
Okay.
I'll just show you how to do the start and
All
stop. Okay. All right. So again, here's our trivia question. What heritage did Junior Seau embrace?
Oh, we don't have to wait for college, do we?
No, we don't. Okay.
Samoan?
That is correct.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Stay with us. You're listening to
Yeah, I wanted to be a
101.com. We're listening to sportsecon101.com. No, you're listening to Sportsecon 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Russell Jackman. Our second trivia question was about Junior Seau and his heritage.
Yeah, Samoan.
Samoan, that is
Very
correct.
good.
Very good. Well, that was when we cut the break, and so we
No, we already said the answer to it.
yeah, that was off break.
No, I think we said-
Did we say it on
Yeah.
break? Well, okay, we got it on break. All right.
That's all right. Now they really know.
Now they really know the answer. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about James Harden and the 76ers. And you were saying Embiid is interested also in leading?
Interested. It's not interested. It's demanded to leave.
Well, that's very interested then.
Yeah, I think that's more than just an interest. I mean, to see where Philadelphia was, remember they were
Yeah.
terrible.
Yep.
And then they did that thing where they decided to tank, X
Oh, yeah.
number of drafts, and their plan was to be bad for 5 years in a row and collect all those draft picks.
That's a dangerous plan.
And now, I mean, it did get them
We got to play us
close to an NBA Finals, but not better than the Miami Heat. Who
Yeah, yeah.
didn't do that.
Yeah.
And now they may be really, stuck with nothing. Ben Simmons has come and gone. Harden doesn't want to be there, although where does he want to be? I mean, he's been on half the teams in the league already.
He wants to be with the Warriors.
That's like one of maybe 5 teams he hasn't played on.
Yeah, but I don't think they'd want him.
No, they can't, and they could. if he would play for $1.50 a season, I think they could afford it barely.
Maybe.
You know, they have
Solid
no
that.
room for it. With the Chris Paul deal.
Oh yeah.
That used up all their extra.
How much
money.
they spend on Chris Paul?
He's gonna wind up getting 30 million.
How old is he? It's like 38.
Yeah, but his deal expires next year. So if after the end of next year he doesn't work out, the Warriors suddenly have 30 million under the cap they can work with. So that's where they.
I mean, he's still playing at a high level, but being a point guard at 38 is kind of
he
challenging.
shoots a lot too for a guy that's his age.
Yeah.
But that is kind of what the Warriors needed, was someone to replace both Steph and Clay. You know, if Chris Paul is out there, they can make Chris Paul a point guard and make Steph into a shooting guard. He really is kind of, he's almost better as a shooting guard than a point. And if they put a Clay out there, then Clay can be the shooting guard and Chris Paul can be the point. So, or they could go the other way around. They could have Steph be the point and
Chris be the shooting
Chris Paul
guard.
be a shooter. You know, what is a shooting guard and what is a point guard in today's NBA?
Guy who brings up the ball.
It's well brings up the ball, but that's guys like LeBron and Luka Doncic and Jokic. Those guys are the leading assisters on their team, and Harden for the Philadelphia Sixers, they're the best assisters, and they all play on the front court. So basketball is morphing so much, changing so much that it's not positionless, but what you expect out of a position of, say, center versus. I mean, we just had a center who was averaging almost 11 assists a game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Jokic probably winds up going down in history as the best assisting basketball big man to ever win a title. I mean, that surpasses. And just a few years ago, we had Giannis. Who was, averaging around 8 or 9 assists a game. So, it's little guys instead are doing more shooting, especially from 3-point range. Rather than being, it was typical that when you're a really small ball player, your role was to be a point guard. It was just immediately assigned to you, and they would use the shooting guard and other positions for larger guys.
Well, was there an issue with Draymond too? Was he going to stay? Was he going to go?
Yeah, and a lot had to do with Jordan Poole. I think that the Warriors had kept Jordan Poole, I think Draymond would have been much more open.
I mean, what was I remember they got into a tiff, but
he punched him in the face. Draymond went and punched Jordan Poole right square in the face.
So you would think that Jordan would be the one to say, "I'm out of here."
But what's interesting is that not one person came to Jordan Poole's defense.
What was it over?
It's still been not discussed, the details of why. And in some ways, it doesn't matter because Poole's gone.
Yeah.
But it was, Curry even said himself that it affected the Warriors' drive to a championship last year. It was something that festered on the team all year long. And that they really sided with Draymond. He wasn't even suspended. I don't know if you remember, but he was allowed to be away from the team during the preseason, and then he joined up the last preseason game and was there.
I wonder, if it's like Jordan Poole acting like an upstart or something, because Draymond. I mean, how many years has he been in the league now?
He's been in the league 1 year after. He's saying drafted that Clay wasn't.
It's been at least 10 years.
Yeah, so right about 10. So he's not going to change, and but unfortunately for Jordan Poole, he was very one-dimensional last year, and the dimension he had, which was scoring, didn't equal out what a hassle it was to play with him. He just didn't feel he had a good team mentality. He sulked a lot when he didn't get the ball. He doesn't. He really wants to be a star somewhere, and that's what Washington's going to give him. It's going to be interesting to see. It's always that cosmic question in basketball. Is a guy great because he's on a team with other great players, and when he's focused on to be the man, does he falter, or was he just were the Warriors holding him back, and now instead of 20 points per game, he's a 30-point per game player?
He definitely had a lot of chances. It's just his defense really wasn't. He wasn't known for
It's
defense.
terrible. His defense was some of the worst I've seen
Yeah.
since an older Monte Ellis.
He had older money.
Yeah, just a guy that really. But that's the problem is that he didn't have the years or mileage that Monte Ellis had on it. He didn't have the likability that
Yeah.
Monte Ellis had.
Well, and I still remember when the Warriors got rid of Monte Ellis. Everyone
Yeah.
was so upset. They
That
were
was
booing.
that was almost a pro wrestling type scenario where Chris Mullin, it was Chris Mullin's retirement, his jersey retirement.
Oh, okay.
And at the jersey retirement, they announced that Monte Ellis had been traded for Andrew Bogut, who had been hurt all season.
Yeah.
So we traded one of our top scorers for a guy that was hurt and was a giant question mark the next season. And Bogut paid off. Monte Ellis becomes a footnote.
Yeah.
And we wind up winning one championship behind Bogut, which we never would have had without him.
Yeah, it's funny because I never really cared for him as a player.
Fantastic.
Really?
When he was healthy, he was probably had some of the best stats that any Warrior center's ever had.
No, I kept seeing him fumble the ball.
Well, he
Yeah,
wasn't the kind of guy you wanted to see driving the ball. He was great enforcer down low. He could block shots, which the Warriors are solely missing right now, and a great rebound. When he was able to, and he knew to get the ball out to other guys and get it going. The one thing though is that he was not a religious guy, and Mark Jackson really rubbed him the wrong way. In fact, Mark Jackson now is furious that Doc Rivers is taking his place on ESPN as the announcer.
But is it? It's not because Mark Jackson's religious thing, because he hasn't done anything on the air.
No, he hasn't said anything about it. I just think he doesn't get along with people.
Well, it's kind of funny. Him and Van Gundy. It's kind of fun to kind of watch them go at each other, especially since Van Gundy was one of his coaches. But the thing is, Doc Rivers, though. I mean, what are you gonna do about his voice?
I was just about to say that's probably one of the worst picks for being a color commentator.
Yeah,
is having a guy who
like this. Yeah,
he's gonna. That's gonna be up to ESPN to try to cover over, or maybe
get one of those machines.
Yeah,
or something,
one of those atomizers. The little ball spray that actors used to use in the 20s and stuff.
On my business show, I remember there was a guy who had this really good stuff to talk about with regard to retirement accounts and all that.
You want to be on our show?
Yeah, we're doing a radio show right now. It's not live; it's being recorded.
But come on over here. I'll move.
Wait. So I was going to have this guy on the show. And the thing is, he goes, well, I got to tell you, I just went through throat cancer. And I said, well, you know what, Mark? I said, when you get better, I'll be glad to have you on the show. And who do we have here?
Julius Arterberry.
Julius Arterberry, Edward Brown.
Assistant golf professional at Sequoia Country.
There you go. Okay. All right.
Nice to be here.
Well, we've got about 3 minutes before the break that we have to take. We're going to ask a trivia question. What do you want to share with us? Anything you want?
Well, I'm happy to be a part of this, charity. I like to help out around the area.
Okay.
I've been part of San Rafael for a while at Dominican University of California.
Do you know I started the tax program there back in 1985? I don't know if they still have it, but after me, they probably said, no, get this thing out of here. Yeah, because
love that school. I was there in 2010, and it was awesome.
What'd you graduate with?
Huh?
What'd you graduate with?
Business finance, BA, and MBA in organizational leadership.
Excellent. Okay.
Love that place.
And so how are you part of this tournament?
Preston Pickney. Have you heard that name? He's part of the board of directors for the NCGA. It's his group that I'm a part of.
Okay.
He had called me because I guess one of his guys wasn't able to make it. So he rings me up, asks if I can make it. I was like, yeah.
Oh, what an excellent choice.
Did you know the late Sean Morgan, or did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I didn't. I heard about the passing.
Yeah.
If you go to our Sports Econ 101 Facebook page, there's a picture of us interviewing Joe Morgan and Vita Blue, I'm not so much of an agitator, but I love talking to them about the 72 World Series. They were just kind of bantering back and forth, and Vita's kind of like this to Joe, and Joe's just kind of like, listen, you do this again, and we beat you. You know?
Vita used to play in our Tuesday game.
Oh, is that right?
We
Yeah,
actually-
that
we
was
actually
great,
host
guys.
a Vita Blue tournament in
Yeah.
Sequoia. So we have that in about a couple of weeks.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Vita Blue.
Yeah, we're almost done here because I know you got to take off.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny how you know, as guys get to be nice to meet you. Thank you. When guys get to get, like Vita was in his early 70s,
Yeah.
and it's amazing how they just kind of mellow.
Oh,
You know, but boy, what a
Vita was-
competitor he
All I
was.
gotta say is that Vida told 1,000,000 stories, and I think he died with 2,000,000 more. that he
Yeah.
never had to tell. I mean, he was a continuous fountain of just jokes, stories, and relatables, and lit up everybody that saw him at this tournament. Their eyes would light up when
Yeah,
they saw
oh,
that he
sure.
was here. He was the guy that made everybody happy.
Yeah.
And I do miss seeing him.
Sure.
today.
Especially when you play for Charlie Finley. Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably have 2 million more stories just from playing for Charlie
Oh,
Finley.
yeah, they're probably all hilarious.
Oh, I'm sure. Okay, you ready for our third trivia question here? All right, here we go. Who were the two Jacks who played linebackers for the Steelers in the 1970s? You know that one?
Yes.
Wow, okay. It's not even a basketball question and you know
No.
it. That's not bad. Okay, so there were two guys, first names were Jack. One was a little more well known than the other, but they were both awesome. I think they're both in the Hall of Fame. All right, that's our trivia question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com the answer. And don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question was, who were the two Jacks who played linebackers for the Steelers in the 1970s?
Jack Lampert
Yes.
and Jack Youngblood.
No.
Oh.
He played for the Rams
Oh.
and then the 49ers.
Oh.
No, who? Yeah, see, you got the main one, the guy with no teeth in front.
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Uh,
Come on, we almost had some food in his.
I-
Well, not really. Yeah, Jack Ham.
oh, Jack.
Jack Ham. Remember? Yeah, he's not as well known, but he
No,
was.
I do remember Lampert.
Oh yeah, no, he was.
I thought it was Youngblood.
Yeah, so I have a. Do you remember John Bella? You may not remember him.
No.
So I have a picture of him. He blocked for Stabler in his guard, and there's a big fight about it breaking out, and he's blocking Mean Joe Green and Jack Lambert at the same time. And yeah, if you ever take this guy's hand, he's got a big old hand. Okay, you ready for our thoughts for the day?
Are we at the thoughts of the day already?
Already, yes, we are. Okay, so Shakespeare's wife almost left him. She was tired of all the drama.
All
All the drama.
Her love labors were lost.
Okay. And my wife is upset because she thinks I'm obsessed with astronomy. And I said, what planet are you on? Oh, we got to smile. Don't laugh. You're holding back the peckle on that one.
She scoped him out.
She scoped him out. Yeah, no, that's not a thought. That's not a thought for the day. All right. Audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. First of all, we're glad to be here at the Joe Morgan Memorial
thank
Golf
you to
Tournament.
Joe Morgan folks for
Yeah.
having us here.
Sorry we didn't get too many sports guys on, but they're all playing golf
You know
in
what
the
we
meeting.
should do? We should interview one of the yellow jackets.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting eaten out live
We
here.
have plenty of those to interview this week.
All right. So tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
So long.